Brought to you by Mint Mobile. Stay tuned for a special offer at the end of the show. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Jawar, and today is Thursday, March 19, 2026. And the most excellent Nick Gray is joining me again. Hi, Nick. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on the show. We have another Nick coming on the show next week. So it's two Nicks in a row. This is pretty exciting. Listen, last week was a whirlwind. I had Dom from The Verge on, and it's like we had 20 minutes with Clicks with Jeff Gadway. We talked about where they're at and their chipset. It was really cool. But then, we're like, there is so much news. What do we do about all this news? And we kind of crammed it all in there. So I'm kind of happy that you and I can go through things a little more in depth this week, some stuff. I want to talk with you about this Oppo Find N6 that came out that I sadly don't have yet because it's sitting on my desk in Vancouver for the last month almost, and you have it. And then my S26 Ultra review, finally talk about the Samsung Uber phone. So N6, what are your thoughts? It's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, so since you haven't been able to use it, I'm sure
I touched it, right? I touched it.
You touched it. And so you know that.
And I have an N5 in my pocket for a year. So that's where I'm coming from.
The zero feel crease is 99% of what they claim it is.
Okay.
It is so good compared to every other smartphone that's out there that has a foldable display that you can clearly see, but also clearly feel the crease in the middle of the phone every time that you're using it. But with this phone here, if you get it up to the right light, yes, you can see the crease still. It is still there. The phone still does fold. So that's, there's no way around that. But the fact that you can use it, and they've done micro printing, I forget how they're calling it. They've done injection of liquid polymers on top of the hinge so that it is as flat as possible. And each hinge is actually analyzed and printed on so that they're completely unique to that device, so that the surface underneath the display is pushing up specifically for what that needs to be. And it feels amazing. Honestly, as you are using the Find N5, my wife is using the Find N5 from last year, and she loves it. It's been the device that she's been using for a long time. It might not be everyone's favorite foldable from last year, but as far as cameras go,
it should be everyone's favorite.
Well, it was the first one to come out that was that thin, right? It was the thinnest foldable.
So this is my Find N5 right now, and look at after a year of everyday use, the crease is there, but it's really quite reasonable. This is for Patreons who are watching on video right now. Patreon.com/TNKGRL, right? It's not bad.
For a year of use, that's actually pretty good. But to be fair, it didn't look that much different probably as you took it out
exactly.
of the box.
It has not gotten worse, but it wasn't bad to start with. And I have to say, I'm actually surprised the crease did not get worse on the N5 because it doesn't have all that N6 goodness, right?
Mm-hmm. So, if that's the main thing that's been holding you back from buying a foldable device, I think Oppo has pretty much solved that. Anyone who complains about, I can feel it in the middle of the screen. Yes, if you want to be nitpicky, you still can kind of feel it, but you have to be wanting to feel it. And I don't think it's going to be anything that anybody is going to look at it and say, oh my gosh, it's so bad. Compared to what we got from Samsung even just last year with the Fold 7, this is a huge improvement. One of the things I really like from the launch that Oppo did, in their video, they unboxed a Fold 7 brand new. You know how they always come flat in the box. Then they folded it for 1 minute and then unfolded it and had it compared to the N6, which was folded the whole time during the unboxing, and then they unfolded it, and you can't even see the crease on the Oppo, which is just amazing. But yeah, it's a great device. But apart from that, I think Oppo actually has the best multitasking capabilities on a foldable device. The way that they use the entire screen. Now you can have essentially freeform windows, multiple freeform windows that you can resize and move around and do whatever you want. But of course, being able to open up 3 applications and have them all side by side, and you just tap the one that you want.
It's my favorite. Open Canvas on OnePlus. They have a different name for Oppo. It's evolving, and I think it's really great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really what makes this device so appealing is that they've thought through the multitasking capabilities with this device and the multi-window, multi-application, and just making it more useful than most other foldable devices that are out there right now.
Yeah. So, I just showed, for those of you, I mentioned it on Patreon, you can get the video version, day in advance every week for $5 a month. That's the deal. Patreon.com/TNKGRL. I honestly can live with the N5. Like I can feel it. It's very faint. As you saw, those of you on video, it's incredibly hard to see that crease after a year. So I can't wait to see how the N6 feels because, I was actually memorized somehow these numbers yesterday, but the difference in thickness on the N5 varies up to 0.2 millimeters. Now, if you are an artist and you've used like automatic pencils, you know that 0.5 is kind of the default thickness for a pencil lead that's on an automatic pencil. And that's, so half of that roughly is the variation. And you feel that. But with the N6, they've gone down to 0.05 or something. It's pretty impressive. So I think that, the proof's in the pudding. You don't notice the crease when you touch it. I believe you. I've seen pictures and videos and you still kind of see a very faint crease, but I personally don't care. Like, as I said, I'm happy with the N5. I think what really has got me excited with the N6 and why I'm going to probably daily that for a year now is the cameras have improved. Do you remember the N3, which was the OnePlus Open, had this really good camera system. One of the best that OnePlus has delivered, other than the OnePlus 13 and the OnePlus 12, which I think still have some of the best cameras, especially sensor sizes and lenses and stuff. But they went back on the ultra wide from the Open to the Find N5 with that 8 megapixel kind of like very, very basic ultra wide. Now, it has the Hasselblad processing and everything on it, but it was a bit vexing, right? Like it had wireless charging, which the N3 or Open didn't have. And it was so thin and it was so awesome. But I was like, oh man, the camera system, that's one of the things that I loved on the Open. So I think the N6 is kind of fixing that. I'm very excited about the camera system. What's been your experience with it? Like, what do you think about it?
Well, I haven't done a camera test with it quite yet. As you know, we got dumped with like 15 different phones at once over the last couple of weeks. So it's been hard to keep up with that. But the times that I have been able to use it, I have noticed an improvement over last year's device. As you know, yes, the ultra wide is an improved camera, but they've also improved the lenses on the other cameras as well. So overall, it's a nice improvement to have. I would say, I don't know, like I haven't done it a one-to-one comparison yet against the new Honor, which does have an improved camera system as well.
On paper, yeah, for sure.
But I think this one comes out on top.
Okay.
I just like the processing better that Oppo does as opposed to what Honor does.
I feel the same way. And I think that's why, and also it's the software for me. Like, so here's the exciting part. I am getting an Honor Magic V6, folks. It is shipping sometime to Canada because I'm going to be up there for the next month or so. And so I'm very excited about that. And I'm finally going to be able to test the last Honor phone that I got, Nick, was a Magic 5 Pro. So that's my point of reference in terms of software and everything else, right?
The software hasn't changed much since then. So.
I know, but also you did lend me that V3 for like a half year, and that was really nice. I didn't use it super much. I mostly did some camera testing. I thought it was a great phone, but it's still the flavor of software that Oppo delivers is much more up my alley, even though it is a little more iPhone-y than I'd like, especially with that app tray that, has 2 tabs now and stuff. But hey, I'm willing to live with it because, as you said, the multitasking, the productivity aspect is what has really kept me on the Open and then the N5, right? And now hopefully the N6. So I'm excited about all this. The other thing that's really worth mentioning is silicon carbon keeps getting better, and we're going from 5,600 milliamp hours to 6,000 milliamp hours in the same form factor. Now, Honor is doing better than that. They have 6,500 and 7,000 or so. 6,660, right? 666. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, they decided 666 was a good number to put in their phone.
Oh boy, so off. But and then they have 7,000 on. I'm actually writing a story for Tom's Guide right now where I interviewed the Honor engineers and the OnePlus engineers on silicon carbon batteries. And I was trying, basically, my whole article is trying to, dismiss the FUD out there that a lot of people think silicon carbon is not a viable thing. And it's kind of like a fad. I don't think it is. And I interviewed some engineers that have worked on this technology for phones specifically, and I'm kind of summarizing what I learned from that. I asked them some tough questions. I asked them to tell me what they think about the degradation issues, about the swelling issues, about the cost issues, about the long-term, cycle count and reliability issues, about the charging challenges, battery management, all that. It's a really fascinating thing to look into, and I'm now absolutely convinced. There's no doubt in my mind that it's only a matter of time till Apple, Samsung, and Google follow suit. This is not a fad. There is so much misinformation out there about this stuff, and well,
I think a lot of people just tend to dismiss things when Apple, Samsung, and Google don't jump onto the bandwagon.
In the West they do.
Well, and I think it's one of those things where, yes, some of these Chinese brands are, playing around with some prototype technologies that the bigger brands simply can't afford to play around with because they have a user base that's so large. When, to be fair, this is a foldable device that is available.
It's a small market device. Yeah.
Yeah, it's available not globally. It's available in a handful of Asian countries, but they're going to sell less than 1 million units of this. It's not something that, if they screw it up, there's going to be this huge backlash of people asking for refunds or something like that. Yes, they'll have to do, some repairs or something like that if there is something wrong with it. But if you put this into a Galaxy S26 Ultra and you sell 7 million of them, that's a completely different story, right?
Yeah, but I also think that we have to be fair that Samsung is certainly selling more phones still than, but they're pretty close. Xiaomi and Oppo and Vivo are pretty close on their flagship, and they all use silicon carbon on their flagships, right? And their numbers are not maybe quite as big, but I'm not talking about the folding phone. The folding phone is extreme, right? Because I think...
No, but you have to remember, all of Oppo's sales are mainly in their $300 phones. Their flagship devices sell less. They're like 5% of their market.
Xiaomi probably sells pretty good amount of Xiaomi 17s, no?
No.
Okay. Same thing?
Well, when you look at the breakdown of these brands and the average sale price of their phones as $250, that means they're selling very few $1,000 plus smartphones, and they're selling a lot of $150 smartphones.
Yeah, and to be fair, those engineers say that, there is a price premium and there's a manufacturing complexity premium, but it's not, we have overcome the challenges. Basically, they both said, we're at Gen 5. We're like 3-4 years into this now. This is a mature tech. It's just a matter of scaling the production and keeping the price reasonable. And more importantly, the thing that, that pushing the envelope. So for Honor, and I think Honor is a prime example, they have a version in China with a 7,000 mAh battery. That's 32%. 32% of silicon doping, basically, in the anode, right?
Doping. I like that term.
No, but it's a technical term. It's when you talk about alloys, you're doping the main metal with other metals, right? And that's an analogy here. The base, like the standard V6, has only 25%. So I think it's fascinating to me that, Oppo's being somewhat conservative here, 6,000, but at 6,000, I've never had a single issue with battery life on my N5 at 5,600 milliamp hours. I've done a day and a half of heavy lifting with it.
Yeah, it's just going to get better from here.
Yeah, I think this is great. And 80 watt wired and 50 watt wireless, and all this display stuff. The displays are slightly brighter. There's also that I hate the name of it, the AI pen.
AI pen.
Did they ship you a review unit with the AI pen? Did it come with it?
The name is horrible, but it works really good.
So you got one, okay. I wasn't sure if they're going to send me one as well. I'm not sure if I'm getting the AI pen.
Yeah, so the pen comes with a back cover case for the phone. And the way they charge the pen is really weird.
Yeah.
The case charges the pen with pogo pins, but the case is being charged with reverse wireless charging from the phone.
That's right.
That happens automatically. Like you don't,
Yeah.
it's just in the settings. It detects that it's there. It charges it every so often whenever it needs it, because the pen doesn't need that much power. But just the way that they're doing it, I'm like, really, you use reverse wireless charging to charge a case, which is charging the pen.
I think it's interesting, actually, because the way they're doing it is really what you described. It's like, I think there's an NFC tag in there. And when you put the case on, it detects that it has to turn on the wireless, reverse wireless. Then the coil, transmits to the rear coil on the case that then transmits to the pen via the Fogo pins.
But if you go into the settings of the phone, reverse wireless charging is not turned on.
Right. And does the case support wireless charging with the pen in place?
I haven't tried it yet.
I don't think so. I think that it kills the wireless charging. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
anyway.
because it has the pen slot on the side of the case, you wouldn't be able to fit it onto a wireless charger.
Yeah, no, that's my point.
Anyways.
That's the other thing, right? Physically is an issue, but I think electrically it doesn't. It just hijacks it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I'm looking forward so hard to this phone. I'll keep you posted. Nick will have a bunch of videos, I'm sure, at some point. I'm sure you're going to do a camera comparison with the V6, right?
Against the Honor, just to see, because those are the two kind of high-end flagship foldables right now.
I feel those are those are state of the art right now. Like, I mean, I really like the Z Fold 7, especially the industrial design of it, but it's just lacking on the camera side, on the battery side, the lack of pen support, which the N5 has, the N6 has, the V3, the V5, and the V6 have. Like, come on. Like, you came out of the gate matching their thickness and weight, or maybe beating them on weight a bit, and then you didn't have the thing that makes a Samsung phone, like the S Pen, Actually, this is a good transition. Let's talk about the S Pen, because have you noticed during the entire Unpacked keynote, during every briefing that we had, the entire time, right?
It wasn't mentioned once.
Zero mention of the S Pen. Here's my S26 Ultra in its official Samsung magnet case. And here's the very, very odd looking S Pen, because it is curved to match. My face is gone. It is curved here at the end to match the curvature of the shell, of the case now, of the frame. Okay, my S26 Ultra review is up on hothardware.com. It was a really hard review to write. 3,300 words. Who reads that stuff? Seriously, my editors should, I don't know. But if
why
you
do you
read
write
the intro,
that stuff?
Look, they want it and they pay me for it, okay? If you read the intro and the conclusion, I think you're doing a good job, because it summarizes everything that I think. Here's my take, and I want to hear your thoughts. You're probably more pragmatic than me, because I'm rah, 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 always, I think this is not an Ultra phone anymore. I think it's a great, my conclusion was, this is a fine flagship and possibly the best Android phone available in the US today, or North America. But the big caveat is, it's not an Ultra phone. It's missing too many things to qualify as an Ultra phone. And I think that going forward, Samsung's strategy should be to match Apple's. And what I mean by that is, this is a $1,299 phone. It's a really expensive phone for what it is. And it has a bunch of things in it that could be removed to make it more affordable. For example, that vestigial 3x 10 megapixel telephoto is completely useless.
It's trash.
We've proved it. Like, people have tested this.
A lot of times it's not even being used.
This is my saying. The 50 megapixel 5x is a phenomenal telephoto, and it should be enough. That 200 megapixel sensor has been proven with the S25 Edge to reach all the way to 5x without any issues of zooming. So if it goes from there to 5x and then the real telephoto takes over, I think we'll be fine, especially with AI zoom stuff. I mean, anyway, remove that. Remove the S Pen. I know. Hear me out, folks. I know your pitchforks are coming out. Make the S Pen an optional thing, like you did with the Z Fold at some point, and now it's gone completely. And then make this a Pro phone. Sell it for $100 less, $11.99. You match the iPhone 17 Pro Max at that point, and then make a smaller version that matches. Maybe replace the S26 Plus with a Pro. And this becomes a Pro Plus or Pro Max or whatever. And then you have two Pro phones, and you have the regular. You have the small little phone, matches the iPhone 17. You got the Pro and the Pro bigger. And those are essentially the same with slightly different displays and batteries, same camera system. And now you have some phones that are in the right price bracket, are absolutely tremendous phones, but then go nuts. And I know this is counterintuitive because we're going to talk about the trifold in a minute, but I do really, really honestly believe, Nick, and maybe this is where you'll disagree with me, but I do believe that if you're a flagship phone manufacturer, you're a Samsung or an Apple or even a Google, or you are an Oppo or a Xiaomi or a Vivo, you should have a Halo device in your bar lineup, in your candy bar phone lineup. And that Halo device is the Ultra for the Chinese. And this is not an Ultra phone. It's Ultra in price, it's Ultra in name, and that's it. It needs to be, they need to crank it up. They need to make a $15.99 bar phone that pulls no punches, has silicon carbon, has IP69, has a bigger, better camera system. And they're going to sell a few of them. But it doesn't matter. It'll be the thing that people look up to say, look, Samsung is still at the top of their game. Because I don't feel like they're at the top of their game on this phone. It's just not good enough.
And this is where you know that the device has simply just become mainstream. When Samsung says it's the best-selling phone inside of their lineup for their flagship devices, when insane. The Ultra is the regular phone for most people. And that's could be because, yes, it has more features than the regular S series and the Plus. And to be honest, those devices need upgrades as well. But when there's no competition really in the US market, like if you are on the Android side, your main competitor here is the Pixel 10 Pro.
XL.
And the Pixel 10 Pro is a good device, but on paper, this is so much better because of the processor that's inside.
Yeah,
you have the cameras as well.
But my counter argument in my review was the OnePlus 15. So hear me out. The OnePlus 15 got a downgrade on the cameras, but it's $899, and it's a really phenomenal phone.
The problem is you can't walk into a store and buy that phone.
I agree.
Like I want to talk like, yes, you can buy anything you want to your heart's content online, but the average person, which is who Samsung is selling to, walks into their carrier store or into Best Buy to buy a phone. And if they don't see it on display, they're not going to buy it. So you can talk about OnePlus all day long. You can talk about all these other...
Best Buy has a OnePlus 15 on display.
Do they?
Yeah.
Probably some Best Buys, not all of them.
Best Buy. Yeah, no, you're right. Look, I'm not disagreeing with you.
But like that's the thing. Like if that's the problem with the Chinese Ultra phones as well. Like they are available pretty much anywhere. The problem is they're not in stores, even in Europe.
Well,
you can find them in stores in China.
But Asian you're even markets. Right, because some of them are China only. Like the X8 100%. Ultra from China, it was China only. I got a Chinese ROM when I got my review in it. So
and that's the main reason why they don't sell as many, right? The reason why Samsung sells so many of the Ultras is
that's
because
why
they're
they need
to
go up and make an Ultra phone. Make an Ultra phone. That's a Halo phone. That doesn't sell much. That really shows what you can do. And then you can sell the Pros all you want. Sell them as many as you want. And then you can obliterate OnePlus in the process.
Here's the counter argument, though. They have no competition. They keep selling it, and so they're complacent.
Apple is their competition, and
Apple's
Apple
not their
costs
competition.
$100 less.
You could argue that, but most people aren't looking, should I buy the Apple phone or should I buy the Samsung phone? They've already decided they want an Android phone, and they're picking between those. Yeah. Like as much as they want to say they're competing with Apple, they're not. Apple has their garden. Android has its garden, and
I think there's a lot of people
bleed
switching
from side to side.
There's some bleed, but I think there's more bleed from Android to Apple because of pressure in the US from family and stuff, right? Look at all the journalists that we know that are Android users, but have an iPhone because their spouse is on iMessage, their kids, they need to manage their kids' iPhones. I mean, you're one of them.
But that doesn't come down to the features on the phone. That's the software. That's not the hardware, right? Like they're not looking at saying, oh, I want the best camera possible.
Yeah.
If that's what you wanted, you wouldn't be buying an Apple or a Samsung. You'd be going to an Oppo or a Xiaomi, right?
Well, if you could get it officially here. Yeah.
Right.
No, you're right.
But my main complaint with this phone is pretty much on par with yours. They've built a phone that is way overpriced for what it delivers. It's an upgrade over last year's, but it's just ticking the boxes and not actually delivering an upgraded experience overall. They focus so much on the AI software on this phone.
It's slop too. It's so much of it is slop.
Yeah, that it's like I could download apps that do it on a phone that's 3 years old or 5 years old or 6 years. Like I can do
Yeah,
it on an older device. Why do I have to buy a new phone to get software features that anybody can have?
yeah,
There's no
100%.
reason for that.
Then, to be fair, there are a few things that are improved. Charging speeds are better. 60-watt wired, finally in the ballpark
Yes.
of better
Oh my gosh.
flagships,
I am
right?
so happy.
25-watt wired, but still no Qi magnets built in. That's a big, big bad. But also, the cameras have improved a bit. The vestigial 10 megapixel 3x, forget that for a second. But the two important cameras, the 200 megapixel main, the 50 megapixel 5x telephoto, have faster lenses, and you notice the difference. And you can't beat physics. You can add as much AI processing and Hasselblad and whatever you want on top of that. Having faster lenses, having bigger sensors is always better. And in this case, we get faster lenses. So these are the good things. The privacy display is the very innovative technology. I'm very impressed with it. I think for many people, this is a big deal, but I don't like it as much. I feel it's a downgrade versus the S25 Ultra's display. The S25 Ultra display, I still feel, is possibly the best phone display I have ever seen with my eyes of any phone anywhere. It is the anti-reflective coating. It is the fact that it's a Samsung's best display. In this case, they had to water down some of that. The anti-reflective coating isn't as good. Some people have experienced headaches and nausea from the privacy display when it was turned off. Now, I'm not that person, but I've noticed that when the privacy display is on, the quality of the display drops in brightness and resolution so much that even I, who's generally running my phones at 1080p, I notice, and I just like, is this crap? I want to actually turn it off system wide right now and just forget about this feature. And that's sad because it is such an innovative feature. So what's your take on this privacy display?
I think they needed to do it, even though it does compromise the experience in some ways. But again, I don't think it's something that should be used all the time. It should be like you can set up a quick toggle so that you can turn it on and off whenever you want. You know, you're jumping into your baking app, you turn on privacy display with a double tap of a button and you're at the go, so that the people next to you on the bus or the subway or you're sitting on the airplane can't see your screen. And to be fair, like the way that this is being done, they're essentially turning off half the pixels.
That's why I'm saying.
In order
That's
to
why,
accomplish this. So, I mean,
it's very clever.
There's a very clever implementation with the technology in order to turn off pixels so that it can't be seen from anything other than looking straight at it, which means also they've oriented all the pixels on the phone. They're no longer flat, pointing straight up. Every pixel is pointing a specific direction so that it can only be seen from a specific direction. And then they're turning those off so that only the ones pointing straight at you are visible in that situation, which 100% means there's going to be compromises. I would think the only way around this is that they improve the pixel density significantly.
Yes, exactly. They could do that. So here's the thing, right?
In order to get around this. And it is first generation device. So give it a year, give it two, give it three. Absolutely. It's going to take some time to iterate to get there. But I don't know. I think it has its use cases, but you're no longer getting that ultra crisp display that you're used to.
I want people to know that if you turn this feature off, you're getting less viewing angles, like absolute compared to the S25, because half the pixels are pointing straight out. And so if you look at an angle, you're only seeing the pixel that are pointing at an angle. And so as such, you're getting slightly less brightness and slightly less resolution. This is with the feature turned off. And then, of course, you know, when you're looking at straight on, it's pretty damn close to an S25 Ultra. But then the anti-reflective coating is slightly less. For some reason, they had to do that. And so that's all I'm saying. Like if you're a display snob, and I am not, I'm a camera snob. But if you're a display snob, you might get into this going, yeah, and then going, oh. And that's been my experience. At first, I was like, yeah, you can't lose. This is a win-win. And then I started using it. I was like, even I, who's not a display snob, is noticing. And I'm not talking about when it's on, like when it's off. And I'm just like, damn. Anyway, look, it's a great phone. probably the best phone here in North America, here in San Francisco, here in the US, here in Cleveland, where you are. But don't buy it. Buy OnePlus 15,
Or if you
save the
do,
money.
buy it at a discount when it's on sale.
Yeah, buy it
Because
on trade.
I don't
whatever.
think it's worth
But
the price that they're selling it for. No.
100%. Don't buy it at $12.99. And in my opinion, as much as I did not like the downgrade in the OnePlus 15 cameras, if you need that level of performance, that chipset, if you want a silicon carbon battery, if you want IP69, which is what every flagship should have, OnePlus 15, $899. You can't freaking go wrong with that. And then if you want the best, I think, overall well-rounded, balanced experience, and you're willing to sacrifice on the chipset, Pixel 10 Pro XL all day long, all the time. And this is for North America specifically. If you want the best phone out there right now, I think, in my opinion, of all the phones that you can buy in the entire world, Oppo Find X9 Pro. Yep. Absolutely. And it's been your daily, right?
It's still my daily.
No, it is a masterpiece of a phone. Like, it is incredible. Like, every time I touch that phone, I'm just like,
before when I was on the podcast, but I've been using this when I'm going to trade shows as my main device.
You told me. Yeah.
And not only for shooting photos, but for shooting videos. And I'm doing,
everything.
Sponsored content as well. And usually whenever I would have sponsored content, I would
camera,
be like, no, I need to bring my Sony A7C. I need to bring the real camera, right? I need to show up and have professional equipment. And since I've started using this, I said, screw it. And I'm using whatever I want. And it's this, and it works perfectly every single time. Especially the main thing, that telephoto is really what gets me. Whenever I'm shooting products, using that telephoto is amazing.
And it's what I'm saying, when you do that, and then you go back to the Samsung phone, and you're like,
oh yeah, this is not the Ultra.
And
Oppo's
this is not
Ultra
even the Ultra. That's my
this
point.
Is the Pro, and I would say it's better than the Samsung.
This is not an Ultra phone, the Samsung, anymore. All right, let's talk about these guys here. These awesome earbuds. And I've got the regular ones as well, the non-Pro here in black.
I do as well. I've got the regulars. I got those at the Samsung launch. I'm pretty happy with those for the price.
I got the regular at Samsung launch,
good.
and I asked them. I was so butthurt because I'm a pro audio person, and I don't like I want the silicone tips, and so I asked them to send me a pair, and they did. Listen, both are absolutely stupendous. I am blown away by these earbuds. Now, there are some caveats. The big caveat is you're not going to get the best quality, and it's, you're going to get close, but you're not going to get the absolute best quality unless you have a Samsung phone, right? Or Samsung device of some kind. And that is quite a bit of a bummer because they don't support LDAC, for example, which is the codec that I think they should support. They support AAC for non-Samsung phones. And that's pretty fine, especially if you connect it to an iPhone. iPhone has a really excellent AAC implementation, better than Android. So my recommendation is, if you have a Samsung phone, these are absolutely no-brainer. If you don't have a Samsung phone, listen, on an iPhone, these are better than the AirPods Pro. And of course, you lose some of that ecosystem integration of switching devices easily and stuff. But from a sound quality, ANC, fit, comfort, better than the AirPods Pro. They're very, very good. The OnePlus Buds Pro 3 or whatever they are. But this is better. And I'm a huge fan of the OnePlus Buds 3. They're phenomenal when tuned properly. But out of the box, these are tuned right. Out of the box, you don't have to change anything on both of them. It's incredible. And I'm like, again, you can probably get them on a discount or bundled in or something. Unbelievable. Unbelievable that we've gotten this level of audio quality and ANC. Well, the ANC is really only good on the Pros, obviously, because there's ANC on the regular, but it's,
Well, when you don't have the silicon tips.
No, but it's very impressive how much ANC you get, considering there's no silicon tips, I have to admit. But you're going to hear the stuff around you. There's no doubt about it. How do you feel? Like, I'm just smitten with these. Like, I cannot believe that I can buy a mainstream piece of hardware that's audiophile grade. Like, it's just so good.
I think the price is really what makes this. Like, if they made it $50 more expensive, which they easily could have, I think we would have been a little bit more skeptical and a little bit more critical.
Yeah.
But I again, like, I think it comes down to, if you price your product just right, it'll be amazing. And just imagine with the price point that they have right now, which is good. I don't know, in 3 weeks, they're going to go on sale, and then there's going to be a back to school sale. And for Black Friday this year, they're going to be half off, which is going to be even better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. In my hierarchy of earbuds, these are up there with some of the like the Sony, WF series, which I don't think are as comfortable.
No, the Sonys always fall out of my ears. They can't stay in my ears.
It's the foam tips. Like the foam tips, yeah, they help naturally, like without using active noise canceling. They help reduce ambient noise, but it's just they wear out really poorly and they don't fit people very well for most of the time. So, and they're a hassle to put in and out. So I think that the WFs are amazing sound-wise and have great ANC, but they're not mainstream earbuds, in my opinion. They're a specialized product. Same with these Status Audio Pro X that I gushed on the podcast a while back. They're phenomenal and they're about the same price, but their battery life isn't theirs. There's issues with in-ear detection, and I've talked to them about it, and they're trying to work on the software. They're a small little independent company, this is mainstream, this is Samsung, this works, this is supported. The battery life is not the best, but everything else about them is amazing. If you want a good, substitute, OnePlus Buds 3 Pro here, phenomenal. But again, you're only going to get the high quality codec if you use the OnePlus or Oppo or Realme phones, right? So if you want something that works on a Pixel, that has really good sound quality, that supports LDAC, but the Pixel Buds are not even remotely an option. They sound like crap. Here, these Nothing Ear A or the Nothing Ear 3, these two sound phenomenal if you tune them a little bit, and they have LDAC, and they work on your Pixel, and you're good to go. So this is my hierarchy of earbuds right now. And then if you're an iPhone, of course, you're going to buy AirPods, but screw you. You're not getting the best experience. I'm sorry. Like the AirPods are potentially the best, usability experience, but they're not the best sound quality and not the best ANC. That's where I'm at. Nick, any thoughts?
Sounds about right.
Yeah? You feel the same way? Okay, good. All right, let's rapid fire through some little news items here. We talked about Oppo. I want to talk BBK Group, former BBK Group, real quick. Some things to keep an eye out for. Oppo Find X9 Ultra, the specs have leaked. This phone is imminent. This is going to be the mother of all freaking phones, I have a feeling. Rumors are we're getting, of course, a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 on this thing, and we're going to be getting the camera system of all camera systems. We're talking about something that competes with the Xiaomi 17 Ultra here and the Vivo X300 Ultra. So, of course, crazy Quad HD display, dual 200 megapixel, a main and a periscope telephoto 3x, and then another 50 megapixel telephoto with 10x zoom, and a 50 megapixel ultra wide, and a 50 megapixel selfie, and the Hasselblad partnership, and a 7,050 milliamp hour battery with 100 watt wired charging and 50 watt wireless. Oh my God, I'm blushing. How do you feel about this? I need some air.
I mean, when you mentioned 200 megapixel sensors. And let's keep in mind, the second 200 megapixel sensor for the periscope camera is essentially the same one that we get on the Galaxy S26 Ultra's main camera. So you're getting the main camera in a zoom camera. Which is
and then you're getting another telephoto for 10x, so you can reach on that. Think about that. That 50 megapixel 10x will be able to crop zoom at 20x with lossless. I mean, you won't be able to pixel bin anymore, but the pixel will be small, so at low light it might not be optimal. But in daytime, that's going to give you native 20x. Then from there. And who knows, the 200 megapixel 3x
Oh,
might
they're going to give you native
that.
40x.
Well, yeah, they might.
If you crop down to 12 megapixel shots, they're going to give you...
They could give you 4x.
Pixel bend. Yeah,
We'll
it's going to be insane.
I can't wait.
This phone makes me excited. I was really happy with last year's Ultra from
Me too.
Oppo. It was a great device. My only issue was that it
China's
was a
ROM.
China only,
Yep.
and there's the hassles with that. But this sounds like they're going to be in more markets, not fully global yet. But
We'll see.
at
We'll
least that
see.
means we're going to have native Play Store support on some of the devices that come out.
Yep. And it's worth noting, we talked about the N6 earlier. The Oppo Find N6 does have a 200 megapixel main sensor, which for a folding phone, the only other phone that has that right now is the Z Fold 7. And that's pretty impressive because it's the same sensor as the 50 megapixel on the N5. So you're getting smaller pixels, you're getting more density, and that gives you a bit more flexibility on pixel binning and cropping and stuff. But it's very exciting that I didn't think or felt that the N6 needed more than a triple 50 megapixel system. So we're getting a bonus here. But Vivo is coming out with their X300 Ultra on March 30th, very soon. And that phone will have an incredible camera system as well. We know a little bit about it, but they officially showed the 300 Ultra. And so we have info on that. What are your thoughts on Vivo versus Oppo here?
For the most part, they're two phones cut from the same cloth. There are some unique differences as far as the software and the tuning that they're doing, but usually for the hardware, they're pretty close. Again, they're essentially two brands that are under the same parent company umbrella,
exactly.
or they say they're not anymore. But
well, they do share. They do share
acts.
Production and logistics and parts supply chain, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure they have engineers that work on both products somewhere along the way.
I think you're right, 100%.
But I mean, it's one of those things, like every year it comes down to personal preference when it comes to the high-end Vivos versus the Oppos. And, do you like the software better or do you like the cameras better? But usually the hardware itself is about the same. Personally, I've always been more on the Oppo camp than the Vivo camp.
Same.
But
yeah,
they actually gave a short preview at MWC a couple weeks back.
Yeah, I missed that. I wasn't invited. So
where they had the phones and how they have the add-on telephoto lenses. This time they're using two different add-on telephoto lenses for this, and essentially saying they're trying to make this a standard mount for all of their cameras, so that if you upgrade to a new device, you can bring your old telephoto lens with you, which is kind of nice.
That's awesome.
But one of the things that they're mainly doing and focusing on with the Vivo is video capture. They're saying this is going to be the best phone ever for video capture.
Ooh, that's fighting words, because Apple's gonna say something. Well,
so their demo at the booth was they had the phone completely rigged up to like a cinema mount that was on rails, and they were shooting in low light and showing the raw video capture and everything you can get out of it. It was fairly impressive. Also, something that no one would ever really do, but. I always love it when they show demonstrations of things that no one's ever going to do. But
that's what the Chinese are good at. I love it. I love that they go out there,
But as I said, I've been using the Oppo Find X9 Pro as my main video device. So I am going to be probably more than happy with the results from the Ultra, from either on the Oppo side or on the Vivo side, coming up when they're launching in the next month or two.
100%.
End of this month.
And to point out, when I said 300 series, I meant there's a 300S. That's the one I was trying to remember. So the 300S is coming up with 300 Ultra, and it's going to be kind of a lower range version. And by the way, there is an Oppo X9S coming as well, or X9S Pro or whatever, or Pro S. Anyway, it alongside the X9 Ultra. Supposedly, we've had rumors about this. So this has always happened, right? Every year they do kind of a TikTok cycle now, where they come out with the regular and the Pro, and then the S and the Ultra. And OnePlus 15T, the China-only phone, which came out last year as a 13T and then made it to India as a 13S. Maybe there'll be a 15S for India. It's the mini flagship from OnePlus, and that is coming March 24th. Holy crap. Of course, China only right now. And it looks like exactly like the current OnePlus design language, but in a smaller form factor. 8 Elite Gen 5, 165 hertz refresh. These are the things we know so far. 70,000. Oh my God, it has a bigger battery than the main OnePlus 15. It's a smaller phone. It's got 200 milliamp hour more at 7,500. Crazy. Oh, it has wireless. Last year, the 13T did not have wireless. But it looks like a dual camera system only like last year. Last year, it didn't have an ultra wide, and it looks like they're continuing that this year. It was just a regular and a telephoto. Not sure why they are doing that. Like, why not go all out and make a real flagship that's small and put 3 cameras in there? Maybe space if they're putting a 7,500 milliamp hour battery.
Because they just want to disappoint us.
The people, I'm not that person, but the people out there, I'm speaking for those people out there who want a small phone. I mean, 6.3 is not really that small. That's iPhone 17 size, right? But we have the Pixel 10, which you use. We have the iPhone 17 Pro non-Max. Like those are no compromise small flagships. So come on, OnePlus, you can do it. Give us an ultra wide here too, okay? Damn it. All right. That's for rapid fire quick. Oh, Poco has another announcement. Did you get the Poco X8 Pro and Pro Max or whatever they are?
I do have it somewhere. I think it's still in the box. Again, yes. We were inundated with phones.
I need to request this one.
Okay. I think
Dimensity 8500 is the big news here. And then it has a really beautiful display. And it has an 8,500 milliamp hour battery on the Pro Max. And other than that, it's pretty generic. I'll link to Phandroid article here that summarizes the specs. So you can
I think they sent me the Iron Man edition one.
Yeah, I think that's the one they sent to most people. I don't really care about the Iron Man edition, but honestly, I don't know if I have time now for this phone. Like, I'm kind of thinking I should request it, but at the same time, when am I going to...
just enough time to unbox it, play with it for an hour, and put it away and never touch it again.
It's kind of sad, you know? It's kind of sad. So, yeah. Anyway, Poco X8 Pro and Pro Max. Check it out. And then finally, we have some other Samsung news, because we talked about this briefly here. I can't believe this. This is kind of like, what? They cancel the trifold. Like the Halo phone. Like, I don't get it. Like, I get it because financial, like bean counters, I get it. Like, I get the financial reason. But it's so weird. What do you think happened there? Do you think it's a production issue? Like, they can't make them in, like, they sold them, right? They made them available, and it was always unobtainium, right? Like, they were always sold out everywhere. So obviously there was demand for a while. I feel like they had some production issues. And then, of course, because of those production issues, they decided to cancel it because it didn't make financial sense. But I don't think the supply was purposely made scarce. I think that they couldn't make enough of them because of some production problems. What are your thoughts?
I would say, I don't know. I don't think they were running into production problems as in like they can't get them off the line or something like that. But I think they planned for an initial run and they maxed out of what they were going to sell. And that was that. I mean, the numbers that have been rumored are about 6,000 units were sold in South Korea and much. Then 20,000 globally, which is not much at all.
Wow.
They hit that number and realized, hey, we lost money on every single unit. Should we continue to do this? Maybe not. We shouldn't.
But the demand seemed so high. You couldn't find them anywhere. Even The Verge couldn't get a device. Like,
I don't think the demand is that. 20,000 units is not high. Like that's like boutique
then why
level.
Why was the production so constrained to start with? They were just testing the waters, you think?
Because you can't sell a phone for $3,000. Like they could.
In
like
Dubai,
I think everybody.
Well, not now because you can't get to Dubai. But anyway,
but like I think it's at that point where you start questioning life decisions. You're like, could I buy a used car or a phone? Maybe I should buy the used car. Like it's ridiculous how expensive this phone is.
You could buy. Let's see. Let me count real quick. You said it's roughly 3,000, right? It's $2,799 or something.
$28.99, right?
Yeah. So you could buy 5 MacBook Neos with 512 gigs of RAM.
Right. Or you can have one phone that can't do as much as the MacBook Neo could do. No, but like,
Well, okay,
I get it. It's a Halo device, right? Like it's one of the, only one of 2 trifolds that's commercially available.
Well, 3 technically, because Huawei made 2 different models.
Yeah, they have 2 second generation. But it's one of those things where, yes, it makes sense that you would want to have this Halo device on the market. But if every time you sell that product, you lose $300, that just doesn't make sense. And then,
no, I understand.
So the question is, how much should the price be for them to actually make a profit off of it? Should it be $3,500? And at $3,500, would they actually sell any?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think they're clearly going back to the drawing board. I'll link to a Phandroid story here that says that Samsung's working on a Gen 2. So I think the Gen 2 looks like it's probably going to optimize processes to make this manufacturing more affordable. And as a result, they can sell for the same price, but hopefully make a profit and not losses. Or maybe even slightly drop the price. Who knows? I think it's fascinating. I really hope they don't give up on this. I was really, really hoping to get a device, and I was not going to buy it. So my plan, and I want to thank our friends at AT&T, right? Because they've hooked me up with device like the S25 Edge last year. And they said, hey, if we get it as a carrier device, we'll send you a review in it. And I was like, wow, that's really generous. Like, I did not think you would say that. Of course, no carrier ever carried this phone in the US. No, so that was like a bum.
Carriers are like, how much does this cost? No, thanks.
I was actually surprised that there wasn't one carrier. Like, I didn't expect it to. I honestly thought it'd be AT&T. And I think they might have come close because my contact there was all like, yeah, we can get you one. And I was like, really? Like, to me, that sounded like, I think that there was some internal cancellation there as well.
Well, I mean, a lot of times whenever a phone is carried in a store by a US carrier, there's so many things that have to happen on the back end in order to make that happen. Like, carriers get kickbacks for marketing promotion, but also sometimes carriers get paid just to carry the phone, even without any marketing promotion. And Samsung was like, well, we're already losing $200, but then we have to pay T-Mobile $100 for every time they put one into one of their stores. Oh, I don't think it would have been
T-Mobile. There's no way it would have been T-Mobile.
Any carrier. Like, every carrier is pretty much the same. So like they're essentially paying it, and they're like, well, wait a second. There is no margins left here, so that's not going to happen.
I know, Nick. Mint Mobile, my sponsor, would carry this phone. I mean, come on, obviously. Look, Google, I love Mint Mobile. Stay tuned, because at the end we have a special offer. Anyway, listen. Let's talk about Apple real quick and wrap it up. I think I'm very excited about this because last week I gushed. I've got the 17E here. In its pink one in a green case. Very interesting color combo they sent me. I'm doing backup recording on this phone, as you can see right now. And it was charging on my Pixel stand, which is, MagSafe. It has MagSafe. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because they tore it down at iFixit. Like, the 17E per se is fine, but now has MagSafe. And it turns out that because it's the exact same chassis as last year, the back cover is the same as the 16E. And the 16E had wireless, but no magnets, wireless charging. And so now you can replace the back cover of the 16E with the 17E cover with the magnets and still get your wireless charging and your magnets. So if you have a 16E and the back glass broke, it's a relatively trivial thing to fix because it comes off from the back. You don't have to dig through the whole phone to get to the back panel like the old iPhones. So you bring it to an independent repair shop, and they'll be able to replace the back panel with a 17E back panel, and you get a MagSafe on your iPhone without a case. Yes. Makes sense, right? I mean, it's kind of a nice little perk. I can see this being a nice mod for some people. Because, if you have an iPhone 16E, if it's after warranty now, you don't have Apple Care for it anymore, you break the rear glass. Why wouldn't you get the MagSafe magnets, right?
Right. I don't know. I mean, they should be there in the first place.
Nick's like, why are we talking about Apple? I don't care.
Why are we talking about iPhones?
Are we talking about an iPhone? Are we talking about a 17E? Anyway,
I
like,
don't know. I think
I just
somebody
wanted.
who is buying this phone really doesn't care enough to even think about that.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying, my nerdy audience, I want you to know, if you have a friend, a family, whatever, and they have a 16E, their back glass is broken, or you even want to just do it as a DIY repair yourself. Like, it's a trivial thing to do. You can restore the water resistant by putting the new adhesive on the back. It's just nice. It's just nice to have that option. Speaking of repairability, MacBook Neo, I'm super gushing on this thing. I am absolutely, as a Mac user, just head over heels on this thing. I have asked for a review unit from Apple. It might be coming. Until I know whether I get one or not, I'm not going out and buying one, but I might buy one if I can't get a review unit just to try it out. I want to see if I can make this my daily, because I had an M1 Air for a long time. Now I have an M2 Air, and it's a base model because I inherited from a job. So it's got 8 gigs of RAM. Not what I would spec myself, but I've been using it as my main MacBook for, 8 gigs, 256 for 4 years now, almost 3.5. And I'm fine. I've got an external SSD, to be honest, to do that. I need to swap stuff on and off of every now and then, especially when I edit video on the computer. But it's usable. So the MacBook Neo is exciting. And what's even more exciting is that for once, this is a highly repairable device from Apple. And I'm kind of curious. Like, I know I gushed about it last week. Are you excited about this? You're a PC user, but you know the Mac ecosystem and the Apple ecosystem. You follow. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to bring so many people into Apple's ecosystem, and especially from college and high school students and in the education market. And I think that's why it's repairable, because this is the kind of market where it needs to be more repairable. Are you excited about this at all, or are you feeling dismissive about it?
I'm excited for the point of, it's nice to have a cheap Mac, but
that's not crap.
Well, that's not crap, but I think more like, I do think there's going to be a lot of sales of this unit. I think it's going to be their best-selling Mac ever, but I think most of those are going to come from Mac users. I don't think there's going to be this big convergence of Windows PC users that are going to jump over to Macs because of this device. Yes, they will get some. I'm not going to discount that, but I don't think their market share is going to jump from, I think they're at sub 10% market share to, 20%. They're not going to double their market share with this device. They might jump up to 12 to maybe 15%, which is huge. But then you're like, okay, so you're still selling a quarter of the laptops that Lenovo sells.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I think for me, what's exciting here is that I have been able to use an M2 Air with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage just fine. And it's barely faster in terms of performance and specs. Now, I'm going to miss a backlit keyboard, but I could see myself in a worst case scenario, say my budget tanks and, I need to be thrifty. I could buy a $599 MacBook Neo and still get all the workflow that I have today. Mm-hmm. I could run DaVinci Resolve and do 4K editing. People have done it. It works. I don't run Resolve right now. I've been meaning to switch to it, but I'm on Final Cut, and Final Cut works just fine for the kind of, you've seen my videos. They're not like your videos, super pro, awesome goodness. My videos are basic.
I have the most basic video editing flow ever, so don't compare.
No, you do, but I like the results. You know what I'm saying? Like mine look a little janky compared to yours. So, I'm just saying I can do 4K video editing on my M2 Air, no problem. And I think the Neo has been proven to be able to do that. I'm hoping that next revision comes out with a 19 Pro chip next year, and that would allow them to give it 12 gigs of RAM, because the limitation is based on the phone chipset. And then maybe backlit keyboard. They've done this before. The initial 11-inch and 13-inch Air, when they went to the wedge shape after the very expensive original Air, that was no backlight. And then the year after, they did a CPU upgrade and they gave us a backlit keyboard. So I'm wondering if you are not needing a Neo right now, but you're looking to get a Neo at some point in the next year or two, I would say the next Neo is going to possibly be your right one. The other thing they need to, I think, resolve, Thunderbolt missing is not a big deal, but that 2 ports with one being USB 2 and the other one 3, and I know that's probably, again, a chipset limitation, that's a bit vexing. I think for me, it wouldn't matter because, I don't plug much into my laptop, but for some people, I can see if you have a display plugged in, then you can't you have to plug the SSD or whatever into the display, which is. But I think they did a great job, and the fact that it's more repairable makes me really happy because I like to.
I think it's going to be a good device, and yeah, as you said,
100%. This is a laptop you want to buy on refurb in a year from Apple's official refurb store. It'll be mint, and it'll cost $499 or $399. It'll be perfect. Kind of amazing.
They didn't give us the backlit keyboard this year, but I know for sure they're going to give an option next year for a backlit keyboard just to get those people who are like, I really wanted it. It's time to upgrade. And the way that they're using a 1-year-old chip inside of it to power it simply means I think they're always going to be 1 year behind the iPhone, which allows them to scale up over time and give us not incremental, but usually with smartphone chips, we're looking at about a 25 to 30% improvement year over year as far as performance goes. So any performance complaints that they might have with this one should be resolved next year with, the chip that we have now in the iPhone 17 Pro.
100%. Yeah. I think this is going to be a great repeated upgrade cycle on this device and keeping the same chassis and everything going for quite a while. All right, Nick, tell people where they can find you on the internet. So your various handles, pimp out some Phandroid goodness here.
You can find me personally at Nick M. Gray on Instagram mainly. And if you want to follow my work, you can check out phandroid.com or youtube.com/Phandroid or Instagram.com/Phandroid. All the places.
Fantastic. Folks, I will link to some content on Phandroid and the YouTube channel as well. The S26 Ultra camera test and some articles. So check that out in the show notes. You know where to find me. I'm at Tankgirl, TNKGRL, like the comic book character, drop the vowels. That's on all the platforms, primarily Blue Sky, Insta, and Threads, but I'm everywhere else. I'm also on TikTok as TNKGRL69, and then the podcast lives at mobiletechpodcast.com. We're on all the major platforms, so if it's your first time here, or your second or third, subscribe and find me on your favorite platform. YouTube.com/mobiletechpodcast is the place you'll find some videos, like my hands-on with the S26 series, some reviews, some unboxing, so check that out. You know how YouTube works. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the bell, comment, all that good stuff. Finally, there's a Patreon. I mentioned it. If you want to support me, patreon.com/Tankgirl. That's patreon.com/TNKGRL. You can get a video version of this podcast a day in advance every week for $5 a month, and you get to see us handle devices, show things off. Last week, I gave you 10 minutes of extra content because we went over time. I unboxed 2 phones last week. So the Nothing Phone 4a and the iPhone 17e live on the show. So check it out. If you want to support me, that would be great. I'd appreciate it. That's patreon.com/TNKGRL. And finally, I want to thank our sponsor, Mint Mobile. So as you know, I'm constantly reviewing multiple phones, and while that's fun, it also means I'm constantly spending a lot of money for wireless service on multiple SIMs. That's where Mint Mobile comes in, and that's who I'm partnering with for today's podcast. If you also want to save money on your wireless service, switch to Mint Mobile. As tech-savvy early adopters, you've probably heard of Mint Mobile before, but let me quickly tell you how awesome their service is. Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month, and you don't have to sacrifice any coverage, speed, or data. They're built on the nation's largest 5G network. They keep costs low because they sell direct to you online. They cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Why should you pay more than you have to for access to the same network? In my experience testing phones, Mint Mobile delivers the same data speeds and call quality as the big three for a fraction of the cost. Switching to Mint is super easy. Thanks to their eSIMs, you can sign up and activate immediately right on your phone from the comfort of your home. No more standing around and waiting in line at a big wireless store. You can keep your current device and phone number and easily switch services. And if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, Mint will ship you a new SIM free of charge. All Mint Mobile plans include unlimited nationwide talk and text, lightning fast 5G, and free mobile hotspot. Mint will show you how much data you use each month and recommend plans that save you money. Mint also offers a modern family plan that lets you set up a super affordable family plan with as little as 2 lines. Use my link mintmobile.com/mobiletech to get premium wireless starting for $15 a month. That's mintmobile.com/mobiletech. Stop paying more than you need on your wireless bill and start saving big with Mint Mobile. And Nick, thanks for coming on the show yet again. I missed you at MWC, so this is really nice to have you on the show today.
Always a pleasure.
Fantastic. We'll have Nick on again in the future, folks, and there's another Nick coming next week, so stay tuned for that. Until then, cheers, everybody.